Alright, so game 3, versing Mark. Hey man.
Hello.
Take us through your list.
Okay, I got
A whole bunch of guard.
yeah 2 infantry platoons, one here and then one back here, as well as 2 large conscript squads, one of a commissar, one of a priest.
The infantry platoons have the auto cannons.
Yes.
Yep.
And we've got heavy artillery, Gasnos, we've got a Wyverns,
Some rough riders.
got some Rough Riders, they got
Targets.
then we've got Yarrick up here with the Icarus, a couple of twin command squads, got one there,
And in reserve, we've got Vendetta and a special squad, yeah? Yep. And so here's me. I have deployed very little. I've got my Imperial Knights. Little squad in the back here. They're inside of the bastion. And they're actually outflanking. So I just put them up there to remind me. Alright. Alrighty, so last game of the evening for this for the first day. And I'm playing against Imperial Guard, and I always like playing, or Astra Militarum, I always like playing them because my record against them is pretty good. I think it's now 19-0. I think I've played them 19 times in the last 2 years in tournaments, and I don't think I've lost yet. So every time I verse Imperial Guard, or Astra Militarum, my eyes get big and I just go, yeah, I like it. This game, I believe personally, I made a huge mistake. I just described, in game 1 what the whole point of this army is. So you can see, I've got my escape hatch. I jump out my hive guard, going for back. So in this case, I'm shooting the wyverns at the back there. I push up on the other side with my Imperial Knight, and it's a lot of pressure. And my 4 flyers, because I got the infiltrate one, I actually outflanked them. Because we're playing Hammer and Anvil, outflanking is awesome, but there was no need to. I should have just deployed them and flown them up, because I don't have any way of, there's no reserve manipulation, and because I don't have any reserve manipulation, I get bad rolls on the reserve rolls. Now I'm stuffed. And there's a mistake, 1 or 2 mistakes that Mark did, and I'll talk about them in a second, but had he not made those mistakes, it would have been a much tougher game. Because if my guys were, flying and doing a whole bunch of damage from turn 1 onwards, I think this would have been a complete wipeout. Like, I think my army is really strong against what he's got. But because he only had 1 target, which was the Imperial Knights to deal with, he could just take it out in 2 rounds of shooting. So first round with the autocannons and 10 counter order, and he did it again, killed it, no problem. So autocannons, yeah, glancing on 6. And if he made me do 6 hull. He did 6 hull points, and I rolled 6 under 4s. So I needed 4 pluses on any of those dice. Not happening. So my flyers, they actually came in on the top. They're doing their work, but I only got 1 on turn 2, 2 on turn 3, and 1 on turn 4. So you can imagine if they were causing havoc from turn 1, it would have been way better. He had a bit of bad luck here. So you can see it's turn 3 right now. His turn 3 actually, and he charges my 2 hive guard with those what are they called? The guys on horses from Astra Militarum. And so he charges, causes 0 or 1 wound or something like that. He's just completely like a really bad roll. I cause like 2 or 3 wounds back with my hive guard, and then actually chase him down. He fails his morale check and chase him down. I couldn't believe it. It was just crazy. My Bivors are doing work, which is good. My flyers are starting to come in now. See, you can see here the mistake. He's got a bunch of conscripts on the left-hand side with a commissar, and they're just sitting there, not really doing anything. Now, because of where the objectives were placed, there's actually 4 objectives kind of from midway or towards my side, and there's only 2 at his place, like in his base area. And from turn 2, his turn 2, he should have been running forward with those guys, like moving and running every single turn, working their way down to the objective that's, towards my deployment zone. Because they're not doing anything there. And by the time he starts realizing, oh wait, I should be moving, you know, it's now his turn 4. It gets to his turn 5, and he's like, oh, I've actually lost because I can't go to cap the objectives. Do you know what I mean? It's when you're playing Astra Militarum. So this is like advice for Astra Militarum players. As soon as you take out the big threats to your big blob squads, start moving them, because they're not doing anything. Look, my flyers are just flying around. They're doing jinx when they need to, and that's all I'm doing. I'm just flying back and forward, doing burning, doing shooting, etc., etc. Just being annoying, and that's the whole point. If they all die, if my 2 half tyrants and 2 crones right now die, doesn't matter. They've done their job. They've done enough damage to not affect the rest of my army, and then I can still cap all the objectives, and that's what actually happens. I get 4 objectives to his 1, and so major win. But I think if I had deployed and done even more pressure, it would have been a much easier game. Alright, so going into game 2, and I had 2 more games to play. One was against Matt, and the other one was against Jonesy. So both my opponents asked that I don't do the filming. They didn't really want to do the whole thing I do. Fine by me, it's alright. So I just quickly described the game. Against Matt, he had 3 Storm Ravens, 2, what they call the little Space Marine planes, Storm Talons, and a bunch of other Space Marines and some Dreadnoughts. I had a good Warlord trait, which was the -1 to his reserves, and his reserve rolls, so his Storm Ravens were coming on like one at a time, and I kind of had things to deal with it. One of the things though that was a key tipping point was the Storm Ravens. He didn't know that the Imperial Knight actually moved 12. It's not that I didn't tell him, it's just that he didn't ask, and I didn't know he didn't know. And so he went, one of the Storm Ravens, he actually placed it, he paid the upgrade for the Sky Shield landing pad to deploy it on the turn 1, and he jumped it forward, and being 18 inches away from my knight, I then moved 12 and charged. Like it was, I think I got a 10-inch charge, but I only needed like 6 or 7 inches. So that got me, because I destroyed it, and also that plus my shooting killed all his las cannons, because he had a whole bunch of las cannons in like combat squadded marines. Anyway, got me first blood, warlord, etc., etc. Also, my knight. This is the first game he actually did a whole bunch of things. He got a 6 on the stomp table, which was placed on top of his Eternal Warrior HQ, and so he just got removed from play, which was, I thought, funny. So I got a 20 there, and then I played Jonesy, and I got another 20 there. I was playing Grey Knights, Astra Militarum. A lot of punishment, first shots, but all playing Relic, and it was going to be hard for him. My Dread Knight went into his, not my Dread Knight, my Imperial Knight went into his Dread Knight, because yeah, Grey Knights have the jump pack guys, and killed him in 1 round of combat, and then was about to kill the other one as well. So yes, day 2 was much more successful. So overall, there's my kids. I got to go in a second, but got 2nd overall. I don't know if you can see that. Ooh, there we go. So that's pretty good. So Pat came first, drop pod marines, and got a little cup trophy thing. So yes, the Imperial Knight ally, so Tyraknights, really interesting, and I'm going to be using him in future tournaments. All right.